America presents Crosstalk, a nationwide call-in program discussing issues that have an effect on our families, our communities, our churches, our nation, and our world. Crosstalk, an opportunity for you to voice your concerns for biblical principles. And now live by satellite and around the world on the internet at vcyamerica.org. Here is today's Crosstalk.
And friends, thank you for joining us today on Crosstalk. We've got a stem winder of a topic today. From coast to coast, there is a massive expansion that's underway of these AI data centers. They're being constructed everywhere. This expansion is happening simultaneously across the states. Farmland that was once used to grow our nation's food supply, it's being destroyed. Green spaces that have caused individuals to move to a rural area or to a particular location, they're now being overrun with dirt and concrete and nonstop construction and noise. I mean, the demand for electricity and resources is staggering. And according to our guest, the purpose of these centers, and we're going to delve into this further, is to collect and store every single piece of information that makes up human society, including your biometrics, your daily actions, even your bank account transactions. So what can you do? Joining us today, we welcome back Tom DeWeese, the president of the American Policy Center, one of the nation's leading advocates of individual liberty, free enterprise, private property rights, personal privacy, back-to-basics education, and American sovereignty and independence, and protecting our constitutionally guaranteed rights. Tom, welcome back here to Crosstalk.
Good to be with you, Jim. Thanks so much.
So, Tom, is making headlines all across this country, the construction of these AI data centers, and we'll talk about purposes and so on, but just give us an idea of the size and the scope of these centers. I mean, my jaw dropped, for instance, when you revealed alone what's going on in the state of Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia's got almost 600 of these things.
Wow.
A lot of them right around where I live because I'm close to D.C., and all the bureaucrats know, how to build this stuff up. And we had one, just over the neighboring county, the battlefield over there, the Manassas battlefield, which is a very, very historic area. And they had it set up that they were going to put a data center right on the edge of that. It was going to be the largest data center complex in the country at that time. And, the people got so upset. I mean, you just imagine, you go to this precious ground to view the history there and everything, and then you've got this monster, huge building, and there are some very close to it right now. And they finally got some other organizations involved, groups that protect these battlefields and so forth, and they got it stopped. So this was a huge victory to stop that from going into place.
So you said almost 600 in Virginia, but yeah. Virginia's not alone. I mean, these are all over the country, aren't they?
Well, they are. I mean, Virginia seems to have the most at the moment, but Texas and Ohio is becoming a major center of a bunch of them, and there is a group there working to get on the ballot to ban them. And so people are, this is what I'm seeing here. It's amazing to me, all the years that I've been an activist and trying to get people to listen and understand things. This is exploding beyond anything I have ever witnessed, of people rising up and saying no. The most incredible one that now is on the front lines of everything is in Box Elder County, Utah, which is just above the Salt Lake there. Get this. This is going to be 40,000 acres.
Oh, my.
And it's a whole complex there, but that's 2.5 times the size of Manhattan. And the energy that it will use will be more than the state of Utah uses statewide.
Oh, wow.
And they're very afraid, the people opposing this are very afraid that it's going to really affect the Great Salt Lake and, using up the water there and so forth. And they don't only use the water, they pollute the water, letting water back out and stuff,
So any idea what is the end game? How many of these centers are they looking to have up nationwide?
I saw the number 5,300.
Wow.
I'm not sure. I know because these are going up worldwide. And so maybe that was a worldwide number,
Okay.
but it's moving very rapidly into that direction.
Okay, and Tom, we've got so much to break down here, and we really have to understand why all of these centers. What is the purpose behind these centers? What is the end game as far as what these centers are going to be doing?
Well, AI is, the purpose of it, what they're moving towards, and if you look at what they say, that it's every single thing, as you said right in the beginning, of everything we do in human society worldwide. The people you associate with, your bank accounts, your what you buy, what you eat, how you travel, all of those kind of things are being put into data banks. You'll probably get, every person will probably have their own file there. They talk about, for example, in China right now, they've been doing this for a long time. They've taken big cities in China and they've divided them up with fences. And now if you want to just go across town, you come up to one of these gates and you have a chip. And that chip contains every single thing about you, mainly do you comply with the communist thing. And if you don't comply, the door won't open. You can't get through. And this is the kind of thing they're using. And one of the huge things that we're hearing about here, I mean, first of all, having all that information there, that's why they need these massive data centers to hold all that information. But what we keep hearing, particularly coming out of the administration, is that we've got to be the leaders on AI ahead of China, because this is how this is how we're going to lead the world. We've got to be in control of this. And I'll tell you, my response to that is, if you have every single thing about every individual in your country, our privacy is gone, our property is gone, everything that should be what we're fighting for in the first place, our liberties, then China has massive hackers, and that gives them the opportunity. If we've already gathered all that information, that gives them power. If we don't do that, if we don't gather all that information, that weakens China.
Wow. Wow. Well, Tom, right now I'm hearing do 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 do. This Tom Luis has a tinfoil hat on, but tell me, you've got a quote that you shared with me before we went live here that people need to hear. This is not you with some kind of conspiracy theory and so forth here. Tom, what you're about to share is staggering.
Absolutely. I was staggered when I saw it. And as I said to you, all these years that I've been trying to warn people about all these things going on, and they keep calling me a conspiracy theorist, and I keep saying, I only quote them. I'm not creative enough to make this stuff up. Mm-hmm. Well, here it is. Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle, which, by the way, just sent out letters to its employees, to 30,000 of them are going to lose their jobs, and the money that they're going to save in payroll they're going to use to build data centers.
Wow.
He said this: a vast AI-fueled surveillance system can ensure citizens will be on their best behavior.
Wow.
And we're talking about now we've got cameras everywhere today, mm-hmm. but the AI improved cameras can now do facial recognition. They can watch who you're associating with, where you go, what stores you go into, all that kind of stuff. This is all the kind of tools, the weapons that they're going to use to make sure you're on your best behavior. How dare they?
And what's amazing about this, Tom, is even inside stores there are cameras, and that information is collected. Even I believe I've seen through the years stories of corporations that have cameras depicting people taking their product off their shelf, that they can observe people's reactions and everything else with it as well. I mean, it's outrageous to see the matter of privacy that is completely gone with this, and when you share the extent and when Larry Ellison's saying that this is going to put everybody on good behavior, I harken back to a couple decades ago when we were talking about Big Brother. Tom, this is Big Brother like we've never seen before.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Hitler and Stalin Stalin would have been so envious of all of this, that I have this. But yeah, you have every single thing. I mean, sitting there in front of your television set, there are people who are fully aware that there are microphones, cameras, things like that. You sit there talking about something, all of a sudden an ad pops up, about what you're talking about. People are talking about that a lot. One of the things they're talking about here, I just read this the other day, is that some of the AI programs looking at what's happening will look at potential crime. This person is doing this or acting this way. They could be planning a potential crime or something. They have now in cars that are watching your eyes. And if your eyes divert from the highway, it'll say, pull over, you've diverted.
Wow.
This kind of stuff is now invading every area of our lives.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about the collection of all this information. Again, we're talking about people's biometric information, correct?
Yes.
Text, post, your social media accounts. I mean, all these pictures people are putting up on social media and so forth, and all their postings and about the foods they like and don't like, and here's where I am now, and here's my child doing this. All of that's going to be contained, all that information stored, correct?
Exactly, yeah. And and again, as I said, the people that you associate with, where you go, what you do, and what are your political beliefs?
Wow.
That's one of China's biggest weapons.
Yep.
But it's coming here. We've already had banks that have refused accounts for conservative organizations. And this sort of thing. So this is what they're moving towards. It is total control, and that's why these massive data centers are necessary to contain all that information. So they've got it all on you, and that'll include your health. When you go to the doctors, already, we have these pages where everything the doctor puts in about you is there online. And all of that can be accessed, so people will know every single thing about you.
It's called EHR, Electronic Health Records, and it's all there, bank transactions. It's massive. And friends, that's what's important to understand, the purpose for these centers. Now, talking more about these centers, Tom, there is some massive amounts of land required, is there not?
Well, yeah, as I mentioned, the one in Utah, it's 40,000 acres. There is one in Indiana being planned by Amazon that will use the equivalent in electricity of 1 million homes. How in the world can you expect, building all these different data centers, using that kind of energy, that we would have any electric grid for anything? And then you talk about we were mentioned earlier about the need that we're short of homes and so forth. And of course, what their goal is, if you look at what we've talked about on the Wildlands or the 15-minute cities and smart growth and all of that, all moving people out of the rural areas, not having suburbs in the community because you have to drive, and that would hurt the environment, driving your car. So moving into the center of the city where you have massive high-rises where everybody's going to live. And they're telling us now, they're using that now as saying that, we've got to make things more affordable, and this is our goal here. That's all we're doing. Tom
DeWeese with us here today, and friends, there's more. We're going to be talking about food supply being impacted by this as well. Back in 1 minute, you're listening to Crosstalk.
Back to Genesis with Dr. John Morris, scientist and author with the Institute for Creation Research. Dr. Morris, are evolutionists still looking for the missing link?
Actually, Chris, missing links are everywhere in the fossil record. Now, evolutionists say that all animals came from a common ancestor. Yet these ancestors are missing, and the links between any two basic categories are missing. Missing links are still missing. Evolutionists used to admit that the missing links were a problem, but now they seem just to have stopped talking about them. They now propose the concept of punctuated equilibrium, which says that evolution went in spurts in the past. It went so fast that it left no transitional forms. I think the missing links will forever be missing because they never existed. God created each basic category as that category. They may have adapted to different conditions, but the basic categories got here separately. They were created back in Genesis.
For more on Genesis, visit us on the web at icr.org.
You're listening to Crosstalk on VCY America. Tom DeWeese is our guest today from the American Policy Center, and we're talking about the growing concern over data centers. And friends, now keep in mind, we're not just going to talk doom and gloom. We're going to talk about solutions, and that's going to be coming up a little bit later, so stay with us. But in order for us to have solutions, we have to recognize there is a problem. Tom, another aspect of this, and we talk about the land usage and the land that's being required for this, farmland is at risk, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you've got 40,000 acres being taken up for one of these things, and other ones aren't quite that big, but they're 10 acres, 20 acres, whatever, you've got massive amounts of what were farmland being put under roof when you come right down to it. And I know, for example, in my home county back in Ohio, small communities that I always knew as farm communities are right now being buried under these things. In fact, I'm going to Ohio on Thursday to do some videotaping of some of this, so we can really show what used to be just big open areas for farmland are now jammed in with these buildings. I'm anxious to get there and see all that.
So, and Tom, the other aspect is, so we're talking farmland. We're also talking, there are people who just move out in the country because they like the rural setting and they like the green space, and that is also at risk.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you have combined with this, I mean, all this energy use, they continue to advocate wind and solar. Which is a total joke, because if one of these data centers is using the equivalent of 1 million homes, you were never going to make it up. If you covered every other piece of land under wind and solar, solar panels, where we had no open space whatsoever, they wouldn't have enough electricity to run this. And yet, that is one of the things they're advocating. And we are seeing, you've seen the photographs of these solar farms that go on as far as the eye can see, and that's all farmland. Yeah. So,
it's really amazing, and we're talking. I just saw a story here a couple of weeks ago in the Epic Times, and it tells the story. I mean, the headline caught my attention: the farmers who declined a $26 million data center bid for their land. Just let me quote from this: a man representing an undisclosed company stepped on 82-year-old Ida Huddleston's farmhouse porch last year and made an offer he seemed confident she would not refuse. Huddleston and her daughter, Delcia Barra, were offered $26 million for around 1,000 acres of their farmland that had been in the family since the 19th century for the development of a hyperscale data center just outside of Maysville in northern Kentucky. Everyone has a price, the man thought, but not this family. This land is priceless. She said, I want to pass down everything you see here to the next generation. They have farmed this, Tom, for more than 200 years. She said over generations they have raised cattle. They have grown soybeans. They have planted corn on their 1,200-acre property outside of Maysville. When jobs disappeared and families lined up for food during the Great Depression, they grew wheat. And goes on to tell their story on here. And Huddleston called the offer she received a scam, talked about harassment and bullying with repeated offers, all of which the family has turned down. But it just doesn't stop, Tom, in which they continue on and on to pester and try to manipulate and purchase, precious farmland from families like this.
Absolutely. I mean, they're fantastic that they have stood up like that. But farmers all over this country are being intimidated like that. We've actually lost thousands of farmers who've gone out of business with the all of the policies, the sustainable policies that they're forced to use to grow the crops, which raises the costs and less crops. They'll tell them you can't use that the whole farm. You've got to have open space. You got to have this. You got to have that. And they go out of going out of business. Now along comes these guys whether it's trying to build the solar farms or it's the ones building the data centers, and offering them these incredible amounts of money. Well, you can imagine the pressure the farmers are under.
Yep.
They're desperate. They're running out of money. They're going out of business, and they're intimidated by this, and a lot of them can't say no. And I wonder, if somebody offered you that much money, could you really say no?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow, I'll be set for life. But once that's done, there is no life because we have no food as they go through this. This is just incredible.
And Tom, and the story also pointed out that the Mason County Industrial Development Authority has proposed to rezone 28 properties to allow the construction of a 2,080-acre data center campus that would support AI and cloud computing operations. And this is something that's happening too. It's the rezoning of these lands, and those zoning fights are happening in local communities all across the country.
Oh, they are, absolutely. And you've got so many people standing up opposed to this, and yet you do have city councils and county commissions that are going ahead and approving this. What they did in Utah with this particular one there, 3 county commissioners there, and you had over 100 people. I've got video of it. People chanting, "No, no, no! We don't want this in our community." The huge population. I mean, it's a very rural population, but a huge number of those who live there are opposed to this, and yet those county commissioners got up from their seats, walked out of that room, walked into a back room, and voted yes.
Oh my!
We're going to do this.
Wow!
And the just incredible. The Utah Senate president, his name's Stuart Adams. What they're doing in a lot of this particular one, they have there's this thing, the Military Installation Development Authority, the MIDA. They have taken out of 40,000 acres of private land, 1,200 acres, which is government and has military uses and so forth there. Once you put that in place, then that kind of takes away the ability for the local communities to say no to this. And this Stuart Adams, who's the Senate president of Utah, said, the country that controls AI will control the world.
Yeah, wow.
We're in an arms race for AI technology, and we need to step it up. And I saw one of these other county commissioners saying, this is about free enterprise. We need that free enterprise there to build it. And they're using this kind of language. But we're creating a slave state.
Yeah, I mean, look at, you mentioned China, communist China, and this is what their social credit system, that is all tied into this. And they give that control over the people, and friends, that's when we talk about these data centers, AI data centers, every piece of information about you. Tom, and let's talk about the resources too, and you mentioned power, but I just saw a story in Politico this past Saturday regarding neighbors of a data center in Georgia. They are steaming after they discovered the facility had sucked up nearly 30 million gallons of water without initially paying for it. It was reported that a water connection had been installed without the utility's knowledge of it. Another was not linked to the company's account, therefore not being billed. After all was discovered and they went after them, had a retroactive charge of over $147,000. A lot of water.
It's affecting the water supply. It's affecting the electrical use of the community. Everything being sucked in there. Goldman Sachs projects that data center electricity demand could rise by 165% by 2030.
Wow.
And, I mean, where's the grid? And meanwhile, they keep building wind and solar, which produce nothing. And we can't use, the natural stuff, the oil and the gas and all of that. But, this one in Utah, Kevin O'Leary has said, "Oh no, we're not even going to use that. We're not going to use any water. It's not going to hurt anything." And they talked about how he's going to create 2,000 jobs and like $30 million in tax receipts there they're going to get for that. Well, the truth is, he's getting a tax break to do that. And we've got documentation now of what's going on. For example, they do not supply that many jobs. They might supply a lot of jobs to build them, but once that's done, operating them, permanent jobs are not there. The Virginia data centers, one report says, are credited with one permanent job for every $54 million invested.
Wow. And you mentioned about, okay, the job promise, but also they talk about the tax revenue, and I see that there are many communities, even states, that are opening up their arms. Yeah, come here, come here. Epoch Times just reported that Kentucky has courted these centers in with a 50-year sales tax exemption on their equipment.
Yeah. Well, this is what we run into. Local officials are, just like I was talking about the farmers being intimidated and pressured, so are they. And they are promised by these companies that you're going to get this massive amount of money coming in to use for your community. You can build parks, you can build new things you need, fix the roads, whatever. And there are going to be all these jobs and all this tax money. And if the truth is, none of that is true. It has not proven to be true with any of these things. They hardly have anybody working in them once they're set up.
Tom, one other thing, too, and there are many concerned by the escalating utility rates, shrinking farmland, noise pollution, air quality impact, water consumption, and you mentioned water contamination. But I've also seen local stories on the news with nearby neighbors who are hearing this constant hum that is quite annoying. And I see, and I've read new media accounts from different places of the country, this constant low-frequency hum from the transformers, the cooling systems, the high-voltage equipment.
Yeah, I've seen some of those videos and heard it. People standing outside of it with recording it and bringing that in. And imagine living next door to that. I read one story of a family that was 400 yards away from where they're going to build this massive thing. That's why they were opposed to it. Can you imagine?
Right.
Where you used to have wonderful land to look out over and all of a sudden it's gone. Big buildings. And you can drive around your own community now in a lot of places around the country and see these huge buildings. And this is what they are. And the other thing that they're doing, they are causing warming of their surrounding areas. One report was as much as 9.1 degrees Celsius raising the thing. And I've been asking the question, where is the environmental movement?
Yep.
These people who for 30 years have been demanding massive open space. We can't use the land at all. We've got to keep that available for nature and the wild animals to run on and all of that. Our farmers have been told they've got to leave open space for that very use instead of having it for their cattle and their crops that they're growing. One reason they're losing money. Where is the environmental movement? This, to me, proves the absolute hypocrisy of the environmental movement, the Sierra Club, the Nature Conservancy, all these guys, that they, why aren't they leading the fight to stop this? If anything was a total disaster to the environment, this is it. And they're sitting there. I've started to see a few of them now starting to flutter a little bit, but for the most part, it's hypocrisy.
Tom DeWeese is our guest today on Crosstalk. We're going to take a break, and friends, when we come back, it's like we're going to talk about the grassroots opposition that is going on, but not just going on, it is growing on as well. And what you can do. Some of you are facing the situation right where you're at right now, and others who are experiencing it will give a warning, don't go this direction. I've seen the story just up the road from us here in Port Washington, and the dirt flying through the air, and 24/7 construction going on, and just the destruction of the landscape that is taking place. So what can you do? We'll be back with more information after the break. This is Crosstalk on VCY America.
Crosstalk as we know it began airing in 1987.
Good afternoon to you, Evangelicalism here. We are going to be talking today with...
It comes your way from the VCY America network out of Milwaukee. Did you ever wonder what the letters VCY stand for? Ever pondered what's behind the ministry that presents Crosstalk every day? We're pleased to share with you a free copy of the magazine formatted book, God's Continuing Miracle, The VCY Story. This book of over 200 pages presents nearly 500 photographs, interviews, historic newspaper articles, and writings about the VCY America ministry, now over 60 years old. The magazine will also inform you about VCY rallies, the Birthday Club ministry, the VCY bookstore, and so much more. It is a testimony to God's faithfulness. To receive a free copy of God's Continuing Miracle, the VCY Story, call 1-800-729-9829.
This is Crosstalk on VCY America. We're talking about the growing concern over these data centers that are really littering the landscape across the United States of America. I mean, did you hear Tom talk about the multiple ones that are in almost 600 just in the state of Virginia, Texas, and Ohio going rampant with these, and all across the nation and consuming huge swaths of land. One place in Utah, he mentioned 40,000 acres. Family farms are being pressured to sell out to them and to put in these data centers, and again the concerns of the strain upon the utilities, and taking the farmland that was used to grow our food, the noise pollution from these, the way that these impact the air quality and the water quality as well, their consumption of the water plus the contamination. Tom is with us today from the American Policy Center, and Tom, I understand that grassroots opposition has just been off the charts regarding this. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, it has been. As long as I've been an activist, I've tried to get grassroots people to stand up and do things, and you get a lot of stares at you, like, I don't know, I can't do that. This has totally changed that. I have never seen a movement grow like this in such a fast time and having such an incredible impact. The reports I'm getting are 50% of the planned data centers at this point are on hold.
Wow.
And as local officials and so forth are looking at them because they're feeling that opposition, hundreds of people are gathering in city councils and standing up against them. We've got in Ohio, we've got a group that's working to get it on the ballot to ban it there. You've had the same thing happening in Wisconsin, in Maine. Those are some of the first states to stand up and take that kind of action. We've got the Culpeper, Virginia, has a new group. What's happening is the character, the culture of these rural communities is being destroyed. Arizona has a grassroots activist created called No Desert Data. Can you imagine all the water they use? They're trying to put these in the desert.
Wow. Wow.
The NAACP has launched a Stop Dirty Data Centers campaign because some of them they're putting in, the lower income communities and so forth. Mm-hmm. And finally, one environmental movement, Food and Water Watch, is starting to come together to do something about it. So those are growing. But,
yeah, so, and I know there's people who are very frustrated, Tom. You mentioned the city council, that everybody was there in opposition against us. They go behind closed doors and they pass it, and the people are left helpless. What can I do? I guess they can vote them out of office, but meanwhile that decision stands unless they go to court and battle over it. And that's the average person is just kind of sitting back saying, I'm concerned about this. What can I do as a person?
Yeah. The one thing, sometimes these corporations putting these on have public meetings to try to tell everybody, oh, this is wonderful, it's going to help the community. Get your facts together. That's number one. It's always the first thing to do is research and know all this information we're putting out here today. It's all there. Go to my website and get it. We're working on building a page on our website that's totally devoted to data centers and gathering information across the country to so you can look and see what others are doing, what they're doing on it on. But that's the first thing. And go to those meetings and publicly challenge them and show that they are lying, that none of anything they're saying is happening anywhere. As far as jobs and money and that sort of thing, and the total destruction of the property and the community. We've got to be there, and the places, yes, we have the example in Utah where they ignored everybody, but that just made the people angrier, and they're getting more organized. And one of the things you have to do when this happens, these officials, whether they're state or local, they can't stand the spotlight on them. So put the spotlight on them, name them, and get a communication system going out to everybody in the community. Here's what's coming here. Here's what's going to happen to your land, to your quality of life, and name those officials who are saying this. They are cowards when it comes down to that, and many of them will start to turn around and say, well, let's rethink this. That's what's happening in a lot of places. You've got to stand. These are big corporations with a lot of money, but they will back off if there's a huge enough opposition. And we're seeing, as I said, 50% right now are already on hold. And as they're looking at these things, and I have never seen such a movement on this, and I really am sitting here right now believing we're going to win this fight. If we can stop the data centers, if we can stop them from building all of those, we can push back on AI and have it and not allow it to be the slave state that they want to create from it.
Yeah, let it go to communist China, but not here.
Yeah.
Friends, Tom's website, by the way, is AmericanPolicy.org. AmericanPolicy.org, and you'll find information on his site. I'm going to open our phone lines, and maybe some of you are living in areas where these centers are being instituted, created, constructed, and maybe you've got some questions, concerns regarding this. Our number to Crosstalk is 1-800-733-9829. 1-800-733-9829. That's our number to Crosstalk today, and we'll take your calls, your questions, or brief comment, and to talk about these data centers and what the proliferation that's taken all across this nation. Tom, I just saw a New American report that came out last month that talks about the grassroots protests that have led many of these data center operations now to roll out their fix. They're putting out robot dogs who are pacing the perimeters of these sites, patrolling the fences, inspecting the equipment, and then reporting issues. Robot dogs? I mean, this is crazy.
Well, look what they're talking about. Why all this NASA data center they need? That's how they operate all these things. Robot dogs. We're going to have robots, taking your order at the restaurant. Robots everywhere you turn. And I have seen, they have said that people won't need regular jobs anymore. How are we supposed to live? How are stores supposed to have customers? Anything like that if people don't have jobs? And we're seeing how AI is destroying particularly white-collar jobs to begin with, but blue-collar jobs are to follow, and running the factories, all of that sort of thing.
You need to get back to Agenda 2030 and find out you'll own nothing and be happy, Tom.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
That's what they meant. See, again, we've quoted them, and people don't believe it.
Right. Friends, our number to call, I see our lines are all packed here. We'll be taking your calls here, 800-733-9829. Tom's website, AmericanPolicy.org. Our first caller is Sue in West Bend, Wisconsin. Sue, you're on the air.
Hi. Thank you so much for this topic. Tom, what we're struggling with out here in Washington County and Ozaki, obviously the data center push, but they need the power. So we have had the push from ATC, and so they want to plow over homes, plow through natural areas, and put new power lines up because they know they're going to need that. And so we've been pushing back on that out here, and we have an attorney, and there's wonderful people involved here. But our lawyer said we were once known as a dairy state. We're becoming the data state.
Wow.
Wisconsin is also fighting this, and they love Lake Michigan, and we don't have the regulations in place.
Yeah, that is where we've really got to move on it. And I'm going to tell you, I've been a supporter of Donald Trump and so forth, but I am very upset that he put out an executive order saying that states could not put up regulations that would diminish any of this fight for AI, and that is just wrong. This is local. When we were fighting the carbon capture pipelines, one of the things that I was succeeding at was getting local elected officials to start to pass legislation in their county or in their city to protect the property rights of the people. If the property rights are protected, they can't do this. And that has got to be done. That's got to be the number one thing we do, is focus on protecting property rights. Yeah. And then the rest of it, we'll have the upper hand on them.
Yeah.
And we are writing letters and doing all that, but we also question, where's the DNR? Where are the people protecting these natural areas?
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Appreciate the call. And, Sue brought up another point here, Tom. It's not just that footprint that the data center is sitting on, but and I've seen this, the massive trough of property and natural beauty and tree lines, everything that they're taking out to put in the delivery system to get power to these areas. And that goes on for miles in some cases.
Absolutely. And if you get, and that's the thing, too, we're not talking about putting one data center there and, that's okay, we can live with that. What if you got 20 or 30 of them all in the same area? That's what we have in this area I live in Ohio, in Virginia right now. Yeah. And so that's, and then imagine if one of them is using that much power, what's 20 or 30 of them do?
Elizabeth is our next caller in Dallas, Texas. Elizabeth, you're on the air.
Yes, thank you. I'm totally ignorant about all this, and this is the first time that I have been informed. And I just remember that a lot of talk is going around that Governor Abbott in Texas is allowing a lot of these data centers. So all of us that are in Texas, don't we need to let Abbott know we don't want this?
Yeah,
absolutely. Every politician in this country has got to feel pressure on this. They have got to feel. What victory looks like is when your elected officials say to the folks trying to put all this stuff in place, "Do you know what my people will do to me if I do that?" That's what victory looks like. They've got to feel the pressure from the people that elect them. Who do they represent? You, the voters, or private corporations that are just piling their pockets full?
Yeah. And a matter of fact, here is from the Texas Tribune. Texas Republicans have a data center problem. And it appears that, Texans are standing up and people do need to contact public officials. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the call. And something else, Tom, she pointed out here, she says, this is really the first she's learning about this. And there are many people who don't know. So may we request listeners to Crosstalk today that you share what you have learned. Go to Tom's website, get the information, get the facts, and send it out. In just a couple hours, the audio for this program will be up on our website. You can put it through your social media channels and just let people hear the links to the program here today. You can do that. If you want a hard copy, we do have a $6 fee, a donation for the copying and mailing costs. But aside from that, it's up on the web free. And Tom, that's what people need to do. The information that they have shared and learned, they need to pass on to others as well.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. This is really a very new issue. It has popped up just over the last few months in the at the level that it's at now. So it's not surprising that a lot of people haven't heard about it. I'm just learning. I have written what's going to be a cover article for New American Magazine for the June issue on this. And as I was writing it, I had to update it 3 times in a week.
It's going so fast.
Stuff was coming in, and it's just absolutely amazing. But yes. We'll get this website together. We're still working on it to get it so we have all this information in there, and that'll become the center of information across the country. We want to gather everything we can and share it with people, what you're doing, what we can do. AmericanPolicy.org, the website. We'll get to more of your calls after the break. You're listening to Crosstalk.
For the Worldview Report, I'm Brennan House. Our website's worldviewtube.com. Lots of talk about UFOs, right? The government has released a lot of video footage and documentation, but it really has turned out to be a lot of nothing so far. Some of it, has natural explanations, like ice crystals and other things that we didn't know about in 1969 when the astronauts were on the moon. We do today. I interviewed a rocket scientist with the U.S. intelligence arena who talked about this on my broadcast. But what is this really about? I think it's setting the world up for a gigantic spiritual deception. One of my friends pointed out that a lot of this interest in UFOs and these sightings began the year before Israel became a nation in 1947. Israel became a nation in 48. Satan knows where we are right now on the timeline, in part by watching Israel. He's looking for a global spiritual deception, and he also needs to explain a lot of the demonic activity that'll take place according to Revelation 9. Don't be deceived.
Again, the website for our guest, AmericanPolicy.org. We're talking about these data centers, and Tom is writing a cover story here for the New American he mentioned. Let's get right back to the phone lines here, and they are packed. Our next caller holding the longest is Kathy in Newcastle, Delaware. Kathy, you're on the air.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to call because we have in Delaware City, Delaware, we have a refinery, huge refinery down there. And all of a sudden, this data center started being built right next to it, which everybody was thinking was a terrible place to put one, first off. And then they shut down major roads. People were so inconvenienced. Mm-hmm. Nobody knew what was going on. Our electric bills doubled. And they went gung-ho for a few months. And now, all of a sudden, everything stopped.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if you knew anything about that one.
Okay, thank you.
They stopped building?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Right.
They stopped moving forward. Maybe there's a lawsuit or something?
Yeah. It's possible that it could be that. It could just be they felt massive pressure from people. That has happened around the country. Ones that were already in. Now that one's it seemed like it was along the way pretty well, but still, I've seen others stopping because of this. These guys are going to lose money, and they're going to have, if we are able to stop these things, and this all backs off, these massive data centers may not be able to stay in business, because now you're going to have a whole bunch of empty buildings on all this land.
So keep in mind there are thousands of these across the country, so Tom cannot keep abreast of every single one, but certainly we see the trends that are taking place and the need for the locals to get engaged in that issue. Thank you for the call here, Kathy. Let's go next to West Allis, Wisconsin. Brad, you're on the air.
Hey, Brother Jim. A while back I heard about this with the AI and the coming data centers, and they were talking about these data centers having and owning their own power plants and generating excess electricity that they didn't even need, and they could put it back into the grid, or put it into the grid and make money off of it, not drain it from the grid. I guess that turned out to be a song and dance.
Well, they're using so much more than it even being produced, really, in a lot of cases. One of the things they're talking about is nuclear power. That would be the case, that they could have their own nuclear plant to provide their. Well, yeah, that would provide what they need, but a major problem with that is that it takes a long time to get that set up. You don't do that overnight. Meanwhile, they're building these data centers overnight, and so the communities are already being affected by it. And the other part of it is that a lot of the elected officials don't believe in nuclear power. They are afraid of it. They don't want to use it. So all of that has to be changed before that can be used. And so that's not a solution to the problems we're talking about here now. And them creating their own enough power to help run the community, I'm sure they've said that and used that as a promotion for it all, but I haven't seen it happen anywhere.
Yeah. Thank you, Brad.
And just one more thing. The point about the environmental groups was a good one.
Yeah.
They're nowhere, and they're useless. Of course, we've already known that they're about as handy as a screen door on a submarine anyway.
Thank you, Brad. Let's go to Sam next. Hi, Sam. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon, gentlemen. I'd like to say it with all the data centers, I would refer to those as electronic concentration camps, garnering all the information to impede people and keep us in line.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. I mean, we're talking about every piece of data. You know, your posts go somewhere, Tom. Your texts go somewhere. The emails go somewhere. It's all, you know, this cloud that is out there. We'll get one more call in. This is it Sterile in Indiana? Hello, go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to call. I'm calling from northern Indiana, and this is big farm country up here. And I'll tell you what, just like with the solar farms, I want to know, do these data centers ruin the farmland the way the solar system, the way the solar stuff does, where it takes off the topsoil, and then after that, after they're done with them, you can't farm anything or grow anything. And it's not good for wildlife, cattle, growing crops, or anything. And people need to understand how serious this is. This could cause mass starvation. This could start famine, and the United States has not known that kind of situation in all that I know in all of our history. So that's a comment I have. And also, people need to know there's a number that you can call the White House for comment lines, and those messages are put in and get directly to the president and his team, as well as you can write or go online and do that. I think our president needs to be, if he got mass calls and mass notifications, and as well as our local leaders about this kind of concern from our citizens and stuff, I think they would listen.
Thank you for the call here, and let me just thank you for the call. I'm going to have Tom comment, but since you mentioned the White House comment line, that number is 202-456-1111. That's a White House comment line, 202-456-1111. Tom, go ahead.
And I absolutely agree. If they were to get 1,000 calls on this from across the country, it will have an impact. They will notice. And we've got to let them know the American people are opposed to this. This is not the answer to our freedom. It is the answer to our slavery. And we have got to get that message out. And, we've got every elected official in the country needs to know they don't want to touch this issue.
She talked about the wind farms, Tom. Does this destroy the soil? Absolutely it does.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're talking about a building here, and that's pretty permanent.
Right.
It's more permanent than the solar panels. Right. And the open space is gone. And where are you going to grow the crops if you do this?
I guess that's another way to get us to eat those crickets, Tom. Again, your website, you've got information right now available there. I know you're going to dedicate more time and space to it, but people need to go there for info.
We do have some of the original articles I've written on this are on our page, and very shortly I had a meeting yesterday on working to reorganize the website so we have a whole section on this and we can add stuff. Let me say one more thing.
Our theme is closing here right now.
Okay.
But okay, we want to hear Tom DeWeese with us here today. Friends, a very real concern that is growing across the country. His website, AmericanPolicy.org. I'd like to hear that one more thing, Tom, but we're out of time. We'll have to have you back.
Okay, great.
Great. Thanks for being with us. And friends, again, Tom is not hopeless. I mean, he is saying, folks, we need to stand up and take a stand against that which is destroying so many communities. God bless you. Thanks for joining us on Crosstalk.
You've been listening to Crosstalk via satellite and the internet from VCY America. Views expressed may or may not be those of this station. For a CD of today's program, send a donation of $6 or more to VCY Tape Ministry, 3434 West Kilbourne Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53208, or download by RSS or podcast from crosstalkamerica.com. And join us again for Crosstalk.